And then the last thing I wanted to share was that we're not doing all of this in a vacuum. We want to be good citizens of Cleveland Heights, and we care very, very much about the neighbors. And we have looked at the Noble corridor study that was completed by Future Heights. And here are some of the needs that they have mentioned that we will keep in mind. We want to keep Noble Road vibrant. We're not going to turn our back to the street or to the community. There'll be, it won't be a solid wall that you'll be looking at. People who live north of Mayfield need computer access. It's an area that doesn't have a lot of broadband that we could really serve in a good way with our computer services and our training. The library wants always to be a walkable library, and that's why we're located in the neighborhood. But that is something that's important in all of the neighborhoods of Cleveland Heights. We are very interested in economic development and partnering with community businesses in any way that seems logical, and that could be possibly in the space that we use in the library or in services we plan for the library. One thing that's missing greatly at this branch is places to meet and gather indoors and out. So we've heard from you that, and also in the neighborhood study, that that is something needed in the neighborhood. And placemaking is a whole art and science of its own. But we certainly want Noble to be a destination. We want people to want to come there, to walk up and down the street, to visit our library and the school, to perhaps gather for something outside. Constance, I know, is planning maybe some concerts, things like that, that we could share that will make the neighborhood more vibrant. If you're interested in that Future Heights study, you can find it at their website. It's at futureheights.org, and I'm sure you can just look through their page. It's 91 pages, and it had a huge group of people who worked on it, city planners, citizens, many groups, including the Noble Neighbors. And I think Brenda is on this presentation today, so they can all share with you their experience working on the Future Heights study, but certainly we will take all of that into account when we do our planning. They want there to be a vital civic life on Noble Road and serve all ages. And we want the library also to be a place for meeting, voting, learning, celebrating, and growing. So this is the last slide. We will keep listening, and we will share a schedule of meetings with Rick and his team. You can stop in the Noble branch to find out more, or we have created a place on our website that is just about the Noble project, and we will keep putting updates there. So next step, visioning with the community. And Rick is raring to go. I think we have a meeting in about a week. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to send them to me by email. director@heightslibrary.org is the best way to reach me, and I will do my best to answer them as clearly as I can. And that is the presentation. So now we get to play question and answer, and I am at your disposal, as are Constance and Kim and Rick. Cheryl is going to moderate the chat, and if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A, right, Cheryl?
Correct. Yeah, go ahead and put those in the question and answer box there, and that way it kind of helps us keep track of them. And I believe it also saves them. We're recording the meeting, so I think it also saves them, which is handy. So ask away. Anyone?
If you don't mind, I'll anticipate one question, and that is, what are we going to do with all this space? What are we going to do with the church property and the library property? And the answer is we just don't know yet.
Oh, there's a question.
There we go. Is it going to keep its basic shape and design going forward? We don't know. We do recognize that it is beautiful. And I know that Rick and his team and any architect we would employ, we will instruct to be very sensitive to the value of each of these buildings And we'll think of ways that we can make best use of all of the property that we have. But I have walked through the church property. It has great assets, but there are also some concerns, like it doesn't have air conditioning. It is not as accessible a building as we would like. So those are two things we would add if we kept it, or we might keep part of it. There's a huge addition in the back that is for a preschool that we don't plan on keeping. So perhaps we'll use some of that area for parking and then keep the main sanctuary. I just don't know.
So Nancy, there's 3 questions here in the Q&A box. Can you see them?
Let me look. Yes.
There you go.
With church parking on the east side of Noble, how will that work? Well, that is one of the things we're going to have to figure out. We now have a couple of acres to work with. And I will say that one of our aspirations is to talk to the city about possibly making a land bridge between Noble Elementary School and the library by closing off Monte Vista. And
Nancy,
yes,
I think that what Karen meant by that question is the parking lot that the church still does own, that's on the east side of Noble Road.
right. We did not buy that parking lot. And then Gail, how will you reach out to the youth to determine what they would like to see? Yes, Gail, we will. I am a children's librarian, and I would never do any project without the input of the students, the kids. I used to be the team librarian here at Lee Road, and when we redid Lee Road, we asked the kids what they wanted, and they said they wanted a door, just to be safe, to be allowed to be teens in their area and not to disturb other people. So we will be asking them what they would like. Will the daycare stay in the church? Currently, no. We are going to not have any entity operating out of the church after we take possession, which will be on April 30th. And some of that is for insurance reasons, and some of that is because it could be a little while till we know what we're doing, and it would be very expensive to operate the building while we were waiting. Are we going to connect the two buildings? Maybe. Obviously, we're going to have to do something to make them work together as one library. I have seen libraries that have outdoor connections. I have seen libraries that have covered ways to get from one building to another. I've been asked about like a campus idea where you might have like a quad in between the two buildings with the outdoor space. Or I know that Rick has worked on projects where you've connected two buildings, correct?
Correct. And I think it would certainly be among the options we would explore. It's a natural option. And but there's no preconceived notions about how the buildings will connect or not connect. The goal is to hear from the community and collectively, with that input, decide what the highest and best use of the properties can be in service of the library and the community.
I would like to make a joke at this point, so I'm going to announce that it is a joke, but there will not be a big white walkway between the two buildings. I love the one at Lee Road, but I don't want to cause trouble either. So we'll figure it out. It will be, whatever we do to join all these areas, it'll be appropriate for the lot size and with sensitivity to the housing and the people around. And certainly, we will want to improve the accessibility of the building. So something that we'll have to do, we'll have to have ways for people in wheelchairs and who are mobility impaired to get in. And we don't really have a good way to do that yet. So that will help both, whatever structure we're working on. They all need it. Are there any other questions?
No other questions?
Okay.
Anyone?
I-
Oh, there we go.
oh, Per the pandemic, is the cost for AC filters included and considered? Yes, we are updating the AC at all of our buildings. And we are currently not doing Noble yet because we are waiting to see what we'll need. But yes, there will be high quality filtration in all of the buildings. And Gail Larson asked if we're considering keeping the kitchen, perhaps for cooking classes. Gail, that is a personal interest of mine, and I think also of Constance's. We would love to have a kitchen. And at Coventry, we're working on one that's like a combination kitchen / makerspace. But if we have space at Noble, perhaps we can do something a little bit bigger in the culinary area. I believe that would also be a great way to do programs with our refugees, since food is an international language and many libraries are using culinary literacy with children and with seniors. So it's high on the list right now. Someone asked at the last meeting if we were going to close the branch while we're doing construction. And again, that is going to depend on how much we disrupt areas where the branch is operating right now. And we will try to do things that will mitigate that if we do have to close for any period of time. Some projects are phased, so you only attack one area as you go, and then we can get the library open. So that will be a consideration. I know when we did Lee Road in 2006, we asked everyone to check out lots of books.
There's one here, Nancy, in the box here from Karen. Can you see it?
Neighbors right behind the buildings have any concerns? Karen, I have spoken to one of the neighbors, the one that is on Monte Vista right next door. And I don't know if they have concerns, and I will certainly be happy to address them if they do. What we did with University Heights is we actually walked the neighborhood before construction started and went door to door and introduced the superintendent of the site, and he gave out his cards, and he said, if you have any problems with dust or noise or anything, just let us know. And I hope we can repeat that practice when we do this building too. Anything else? Another question that I can anticipate is what will happen to the staff while we're under construction? What we've done with all of the other buildings that we've renovated is we've relocated the staff to other library buildings because we know that they become busier as one is, if it's closed, the other branches become busier and we need you. So no one will be laid off. They will remain in our employ. And again, like I said, we probably will have to hire a few more people. Okay. Well, you've all met Rick. Get used to that face. He's going to be around for a while. And I really appreciate Patrick from Noble Elementary offering us space for having community meetings. I think we will probably take you up on that. We do have a joint board meeting with the city and the school district and University Heights on next Monday. And I will be talking again about Noble. And that's where we are. It's very, very exciting. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful addition to the neighborhood. And people of all ages will, I hope, really be appreciative of what we're trying to do. And we want your ideas. So send them in.
Nancy, it does. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, there is one more question here. Someone asking about an estimated time of completion.
Rick?
Well, we haven't set out the calendar yet. We technically haven't sort of officially gotten approval to start, but that's going to happen very soon. And once we map out a schedule for the near-term study, we'll certainly be working with Nancy and her team in the community to share that. The long-term is harder to predict as far as what comes out of the study and what might actually get built. That's unknowable right now. I don't know if Nancy, you have any observations on your aspiration for that?
I only know from experience that it generally takes about a year to do all the planning, and then it'll probably take another year to do the construction. From the day we say, let's start making plans, actual architectural plans, to the time that the building is open again, a grand opening. But it really depends on how complicated it is, and I am not aware how things are in the supply chain. I know that there were a lot of disruptions during COVID, but that has affected things in the past when we couldn't get steel, or we couldn't get elevators, or other types of materials. So I'm not sure what the market is like, but that may interfere with things. And then the labor market is also an indicator that will help us with time. And then we're dealing with a 1937 building, and sometimes you start opening things up and then you find out you've got a big problem. So I wouldn't commit to a timeline, not, knowing that we're going to be in old buildings and anything could be there. Is there one more? How much is budgeted for this? Currently, anything between $8 and $11 million. It depends again on what is the scope, what we're keeping, what we're not keeping. We are so early that it's really too soon to tell. And it also, again, depends on all those things: labor, materials, time. So those will all impact the cost. And we don't have a date yet. No, we don't know when we'll start the visioning sessions, but soon. I would say within a month or so, maybe. We are waiting for formal approval of Rick's contract, which will happen on April 19th at the board meeting. And then we'll get started. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you all for joining us. We are so excited. And I think it's going to be fantastic. And if you want to look at other projects that Bostwick or Rick have been involved in, you can look online. And we'll probably put some things up on our website too. We'll introduce you to Rick on our website, and we'll start from there. But visioning is different than the actual architecture. So that is a separate process. It doesn't mean that Rick won't be involved. It just means those are more decisions that have to be made. So we'll see. We'll see.
Nancy, we do have another question.
Oh.
There.
Will the construction major material come from Cuyahoga County, and/or do we have a choice? That is a really good question. I don't know. I think we always have a choice, but I think it depends on what is needed, and we'll have to explore that. I know different regions have used different building materials, but I wouldn't want to limit us to anything right now, because I'm hoping that it will be a building that brings elements of the historic with what modern efficiency requires. I hope that there'll be some inside use of outdoor views and bright sunny spaces, and we'll have to see what that requires. If you know something that you're asking about that I don't understand, please let me know what that is, because like maybe you're a vendor. Are there possible zoning issues with Cleveland Heights? So far, no. I have spoken to the city. I've spoken to the new planning director, Eric Sam, and we have not gotten into any details, but if we need a variance for something, I'm sure we'll apply for it. And there are requirements for parking and height and all sorts of things. So we'll look at those as we go forward. Anything else? Is there one more? Hopefully some local workers will be hired by the contractors. Gail, that is very possible. And I know that we can also include diversity requirements in some of our contracting. And I believe we would do that. We also always do, what's it called? The wage guarantee.
Prevailing wage.
Thank you, the prevailing wage. We will support workers in that way as well. I will speak to people who know more about this than I do and hope that we will be as sustainable and locally sourced as we can be.
And I'll just add, Nancy, that when you get to such a point in the project where you're considering the construction portion, which will be well beyond this kind of early visioning and concept stage, there's lots of great examples that I think you've participated in the past where outreach in advance to those local and small and otherwise maybe disadvantaged businesses, so that there's awareness and work with construction managers who can really help curate a process that maximizes participation and diversity.
Right. I know that city projects often require that kind of participation, and we would be very happy to model some of those requirements. Another person who you don't see on the screen is Julie Pershone, who is our owner's rep, and she is a woman-owned business and is certified as a minority-owned business, and we will keep that in mind as we go forward. I love that the community is so involved already and that you're so concerned about these very important social responsibility aspects of the project. I think you're right. We're right in the same lane with you, and hopefully we will continue to uphold your standards and also stay under budget. So we'll see how it all works out. But again, we will have many, many meetings, and I'm always available if someone needs to talk about anything. We'll make sure that you get heard. Okay. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Constance. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Cheryl. Thank you to the community. We couldn't do any of this
Yes.
without you.
Yes, thanks in advance to all the input that we anticipate. It's going to really be critical to shape what happens there.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good night, everyone. Enjoy the sunset. It's almost
Thanks for facilitating, Nancy.
happening right now. I can see it on my hair. Okay. Bye-bye.